If you look around my office, you might realize I have kind of a love for dark twisted cartoons. And a lot of that may be because I grew up with a lot of dark twisted cartoons. Now, I'm not talking about the ones like Batman or ones that were meant for older kids. I'm talking about the ones that were meant for little kids, and they probably should have been made for little kids. And I loved the out of them. I enjoyed how much they scared me. I loved how every time you got through one, you felt a little tougher. So I'm doing a series reacting and reviewing them. We're gonna analyze how creative they are, how dark they are, and if the dark twisted tone was warranted. So join me in taking a look at some Dark Toons. Been a hot minute since I've done one of these, but I figured the week of Halloween's a good time to do one again. Trick or Treat came out in October 1952. It's one of my favorite Halloween cartoons, and while it's not necessarily the darkest, it has a lot of dark Halloween-y elements to it. I mean, how can you not think of Halloween when watching it? Let's take a look. Trick or treat, trick or treat. This is one of the few times the title sequence is a little different. It doesn't have the main character against the bright background and the usual credits. It has graffiti on a fence, and you have it on the barn here. But what's also interesting is this has changed as well. There's another opening with a few differences when RKO released it. They're not huge, but it is strange that they changed them. The camera pans to the next credit as opposed to dissolve to it, and at the very end you see the paintbrush actually paint the title. I can't find a concrete reason why they did this, maybe because RKO released the original, so it's kind of an odd mystery. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Just a gorgeous opening shot. And the backgrounds on this were done by Yale Gracie, who has done a lot of layout for Disney in the past. He'd usually do other Donald Duck cartoons or Humphrey the Bear cartoons, and the backgrounds were fine, but usually not like this, though every once in a while he would sneak in something a little dark and strange and artistically pleasing, like more than usual. And he did work on Fantasia as well, which is why I feel like this has a little bit of a Night on Bald Mountain look to it, like the village in that short. If that voice sounds familiar, that's the legendary June Foray as Witch Hazel. And if you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, June Foray as Witch Hazel, that sounds really familiar as well, is because she played a character with the exact same voice and exact same name for Warner Brothers. And when she asked Chuck Jones, well, how can you do that? How can you use a witch with the same voice and the same name? It's because Witch Hazel is a name that already exists. It's a product you can use. Now, I still feel like if Disney wanted to, they could technically sue, but the characters are just different enough, in my opinion, that it wouldn't be worth it, and I think both companies have enough money. That scream, however, was not her. That is the sound of another witch screaming from Snow White when she fell over at the end. And they used that a couple times. You'll find they often would use certain screams and gasps and stuff over and over, maybe because they forgot to get a recording in there, or maybe just the sound effect sounded so good they just wanted to use it over and over. Now, obviously you're drawn to Huey, Dewey, and Louie here and the little pumpkin on their heads, but again, pay attention to the backgrounds. Look at how beautiful that is. The way the light shines to make like these super dark shadows in the foreground, but then like sort of these variations and gradients of blue in the background, but then that yellow window back there that just pops. Again, these are such good layouts. And this is still at a time when Clarence Nash did the voice of Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Donald, so they sound exactly alike. And one of my favorite jokes is right here when it looks like Donald is going for the candy, only to move it and grab the fireworks behind him. Which either means he gave all the other kids candy and he just wanted to screw over his nephews, or he just got a whole bunch of candy for himself and he's been eating that all night. Either way, it's very funny. I also adore this expression he gives right before he answers the door. It's just this split-second reaction of this devil's grin. A lot of older cartoons get flack for not being as quick as modern day cartoons, but if you really pay attention, there's some really subtle, great expressions that just fly by super quick. Again, I know I'm going to talk about it a lot, I always do, but with the backgrounds here, I love the way you have the warm glow from the light there in the inside, but again, in the background you have the blue and just so nicely framed. There really is a reason you remember this cartoon all these years later.
Oh, bless their little black hearts.
And I do like, too, that Witch Hazel is also a troublemaker. She likes that they're dressing up. She likes that they're saying trick or treat, like give us candy or else kind of thing. And that, you know, this is something that's celebrated. And when somebody doesn't come through with it, she's going to make them pay.
I'll help thee get thy candy.
I also like going the extra mile that they make it where she does speak kind of in the old-timey speak, you know, when witches were believed to be real. So she'll say things like, get thee thy candy and stuff like that. Again, it's a little detail, but they didn't need to do that.
Double, double, toil and trouble.
Again, man, gorgeous. Like, half of this is gonna be me just gushing over the backgrounds like I usually do, but look at that. You've had so much of the blue backgrounds, you know, making it look like night, and then just with this potion, have this splash of yellow that also respects the animators' time to shine too, because they can animate the shadow in there. There's so much room given to that shadow to really be expressive and move around, and even look at the shadows on like the little rocks there at the bottom. It's practically German expressionism.
Neck of battle, tail of coat.
She's of course quoting Macbeth here and actually makes a reference to it.
This is the real thing, you know, right out of Shakespeare.
Little known writer, doesn't get that much attention. Something I love is in his cupboard he has, obviously, you know, things like candy and cookies and popcorn. They just has one called Goodies. And he's also got like a cake and a turkey in there too. It's a very classic cartoony cupboard.
Trick or treat for Halloween.
The song was written by Mac David, Al Hoffman, and Jerry Livingston, and it was sung by the Mellow Men, who have done a lot of songs for Disney, and one voice you'll recognize particular is Thurl Ravenscroft. He's sung The Grinch, he's Tony the Tiger, he's done lots of voices for Disney. He's even one of the singing voices in The Haunted Mansion.
Shrouded in a darkest sky,
Your nightmares will come true.
And I think one of the things that stands out about it is that while, yes, it is these characters getting revenge on someone who did wrong, there is a mischievous element to it. You know, when she's about to put in the last ingredient, she goes, oh, it's repulsive. Like, there is this celebration of everything that's creepy and gooey and odd that is Halloween. I think that's one of the reasons this stands the test of time. Another classic cartoon trope that was especially used in Disney where somebody has the key to something important and swallows it. Which I think is just another excuse to get these awkward shots of Donald's butt. I don't know why there's so many of those in Disney cartoons.
Pick out that key.
So here she possesses his feet to move however she wants. She does this fun little thing where she takes the broom and uses it as a banjo. And what's so funny about this cartoon is if you ask people, well, what happens in the cartoon? Oh, well, she brings pumpkins to life. You know, this witch and the fence comes to life and they torment Donald. But it's mainly just this one thing. It's just his feet dancing, which is odd. That is funny, but it's so strange that everyone remembers all the other elements to it. I think, again, that's a testament to how strong the visuals are in this and how great the atmosphere is, because everyone remembers the pumpkin doing more and the fence doing more, but really most of it is just these feet dancing.
With your old flat feet just a-kicking like new.
That's my favorite sound effect in the whole thing. Suddenly Donald sounds like this professional like boxer hitting a bag. Again, that's something that's very common in Jack Hanna cartoons, where just this totally different sound might come out of somebody, especially with screams and grunts. He got so good with them that he practically created one character to be nothing but grunts and screams, and that's Humphrey. Those cartoons are hilarious just for his sound effects.
I know you made old Hazel mad.
Do people catch that her wig flies off there? It's only half a second, but it's a nice little detail.
This hurts me worse than it does you.
Here's my favorite shot in the whole thing.
About a mile or two.
Isn't that amazing looking? At the center you got that bright yellow moon, and around it you have, of course, the shadows and the variations of blue, and around the blue and yellow you create that wonderful green haze there. It's just so good. I want to frame that. I want to put it on a wall. Again, too, with nice little details. I love that even the broom has a personality in this. It isn't just something she rides. It actually walks around, and the head kind of bends and has these reactions. Again, it's very clever. She gets him the treat, she rides off on the broom, and of course we end with the classic pumpkin saying... And again, because it's the last shot I should talk about too. I love the warm colors from the pumpkin with the orange and the yellow, and I mean, it's just bursting with orange colors, but then you have that great contrast again with the blue background that you're so used to looking at. So when he actually pops up and says boo, it does catch your eyes. It is just suddenly this bright, totally opposite color coming into frame. And at least when I was a kid, it got a reaction. Like, it didn't scare me, but it wakes you up. It gets your attention. So it's a really wonderful shot to end on. And it's a wonderful cartoon. You can see it on Disney Plus right now. Like, it's really cleaned up and looks absolutely gorgeous. And again, even though like nothing super dark is happening in it, it just screams Halloween. Everything around it has the Halloween atmosphere, Halloween costumes, Halloween characters with the witch, Halloween song that everybody remembers. It is funny, it is very memorable, and I think there's a reason people put it on every year. Several reasons, like we discussed here. So I'm a real big fan of it. Like I said, such a big fan. We did an homage to it this Nostalgia-ween. But what did you think? Did you grow up watching this, or is this your first time seeing it? If so, what were your thoughts either way? I absolutely love it. I love to know your thoughts. Hey everyone, if there's any particular cartoon you want me to look at as being very dark or twisted, leave it in the comments below. Again, I'm not really looking for movie scenes or cartoons meant for teenagers or older. I'm talking about ones meant for little kids, but still scare the out of you. Whether it's an old cartoon or a new cartoon, let me know what you want me to look at.